Welcome to Amalgam Hour, the movie and comic podcast. I'm Robin.
I'm Dan.
Dan, what are we doing today?
Hawkeye, we're doing Hawkeye. A bit late, but we're doing Hawkeye.
All of our
That's
reviews
every
are late.
intro now. We're late on everything.
It's okay. It's okay. The audience don't know. We don't know. It's fine. We're all in ignorant and bliss. It's okay.
Yeah, we're busy people.
Yeah. So, let's talk
Hawkeye,
about...
that happened.
Yeah. So, I know, it's the thing that least changed the universe. It was like, okay...
I love it.
And spoilers, obviously, but it was like, okay, the only thing we'll change is Kingpin, you can come here. Oh, never mind, you're going again. Kingpin, no, you're going again. No, okay. Kate, you can sort of, no, Hawkeye's not dead. Okay, you both just be Hawkeye. Enjoy it, I guess. You do you two. Ooh. I'm glad that my phone didn't have any volume then, because I started playing episode 3 of Hawkeye. That wouldn't have been good.
Oh, that would have been.
Just immediate copyright strike. Okay, so let's at least talk about episode 1 first.
Episode 1. What happened in episode 1?
They meet. Okay, well, first of all, it was Kate Bishop's backstory, which I really liked. That's probably the thing I've liked most out of this show, is their relationship, obviously. And it starts with this moment, where it's like, oh yeah, do you know my obviously evil parents? Well, one of them's dead, a lumfow. And then it's just that scene of Hawkeye doing spins in the sky. Whee!
Yeah, he's having a great time.
Which I'm like, to be fair, if I seen that, I think I'd be pretty inspired as well.
To be honest, a battle in New York was meant to take place over 3 hours, and she went from the start of it to Hawkeye's already out of the fight in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Precisely that amount of time.
His arrows. Let's go.
Yeah. And then it's obvious. I can't even remember the first episode after that. Not gonna lie. You obviously meet them.
It's just...
And then...
Yeah. You do a bit with Hawkeye's family.
I honestly forgot.
Black Widow.
I honestly forgot that one guy died and her mum did it. So when they told us that in the finale, I was like, oh yeah, shit, she's a murderer. Because that's how this all started. Obviously, she found dead guy. Then she goes to that fancy little place, and then we see this. Okay, we need to talk about it. Why is Swordsman here? And why is he my favourite character?
He's out. The whole show is this make him seem like the bad guy, and he's just a guy who really likes swords.
Yeah, it's like he's the bad guy, and then he punches one dude. He goes, "Hello, sweetie," and I fall in love with him. I'm like, oh, I'm like, ah. Which is great. That is such a good pull. If you're going to add just a random character who needs to fight at some point, do this sort of stuff where it's like, oh, we need a guy to fight Captain America's. That's Batroc the Leaper. You know? They're not going to get a full movie. Swordsman? Sure. We need a guy who likes swords. There you go. And then obviously it's like, which, that's really cool, the idea of having like an underground black market for just superhero shit. Like, this is a sword, this is a shield watch. Let's spend it.
I'm still confused as to how Ronan's suit got there.
Yeah.
Last I checked, he was wearing it.
Yeah.
Unless he just, after that fight, he just stripped naked and walked away.
Yeah. He should have done that thing where he took it off like the Spider-Man and then left it in a bin. And then you could have had the exact same shot of him walking out the alley. Which, yeah, it's like, how did anyone get any of this? If it was like...
Sword, I get. Like, maybe he dropped the sword in the fight.
I guess,
and,
but...
like, maybe he had the watch on him while he was at Avengers HQ. Costume?
No. I don't get it, but, you know, it's okay. Sure, it's one of those things you can just look past. And then that fight scene is fun. And they brung the tracksuit mafia in from the Hawkeye run. That's literally the only thing taken from that Hawkeye run, other than Kate Bishop, the tracksuit mafia, and the dog.
As a consultant for the show.
Yeah, which is good.
Oh.
And those are fun characters. Like, they're fun. I'm glad they're not just nameless goons. Because, you know.
Yeah, that one guy. Was it Imagine Dragons he didn't like?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. And then he was like, I just wanted to thank you because my girlfriend really liked it. And the Kate Bishop just fucking clobbers it. Just go sleep, bitch. And then there's a fun fight. And obviously you have to get Kate Bishop in the Ronin suit because that's hilarious. Yeah. And then fight. Save the dog. Which immediately shows, like, she's a good person. Because it was just like, dog's about to die. Nope, safe. And then obviously she gets in shenanigans because people think she's Ronan. Oh my god, so funny. And then Hawkeye meets her for the first time, and
I like how he just shows up, beats up the guy she's having problems with, and just grips her and drags her away.
yeah, and she's like, ugh. And she almost did the thing where it's like, oh,
He pulls the mask off and goes to punch her.
yeah, I think I would too. I'd be like, oh.
You've grabbed her and dragged her away. She's clearly not strong enough to beat you.
Yeah.
And now you take the mask off and go to punch.
well, I feel like that's fair because that could be Batroc the Leaper under that match. You don't know. You know, it could be anyone. But I love the thing because
She's just a fang girl.
exactly where she almost does the thing where it's like, oh my god, Robert Downey Jr. She practically does that, and it's great. And then
it ends.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, first episode decent, started off strong.
Glad they did a 2-episode premiere, because if it was just the one,
Yeah, might have been iffy on it, but then I can't even
I
remember the
think all
second
the
one.
Marvel shows should do 2 episodes premieres for now. Because the one is just first episode.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's just set up. And
Yeah.
you get more into it into the second one.
And then the second episode was just trying to undo the mess of the first episode, where everyone thinks she's Ronan and all these shenanigans. So we just
the same
skip
thing
past
where he
that.
catches a Molotov.
Yeah, throws it back in. That building just gets set alight, and then he goes back in for his suit. And then obviously, actually no, because then he meets the Lappers, which is the only part where I'm like, I don't care. You know?
The only thing I love about that, just him being so done with it.
Yeah, which is perfectly Hawkeye, and because he's also just a huge douche. But I'm like, the only reason it was really there is to then give a reason for them to have, don't get me wrong, the Lappers do a lot. It's a fun scene then to get the suit back. They then help, hide them away later on. They give them the suits, and then they come back in the finale. So it does great. I just prefer if it wasn't there at all. You know?
Yeah.
Because you could have easily worked around it, and then at that end scene, I would have liked to seen characters we already know. Not huge ones, just maybe some little small ones, you know?
Like when people go, oh my god, Spider-Man's going to be in the Hawkeye finale.
No, not that.
No.
It could be fun if,
They're not going to use his last, film in his contract to do Hawkeye finale.
It's like in the episode, he could have been like, oh yeah, I've brought some old friends I used to know. And you don't get to know where they've come from. But then you notice, if you go back and watch the Avengers, you notice they're old S.H.I.E.L.D. agents or something when S.H.I.E.L.D. went down. Do you get what I mean?
I thought you were going to say his wife shows up in a
that would have been more sick. And I want that for a season 2. I need to see Velma herself in the Mockingbird suit. And if I don't, I'm going to be fuming. Because I want to see a live-action Mockingbird that's not in a show called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because that doesn't count.
Canon. It has to be.
That doesn't count. That world doesn't exist anymore.
Marvel spent it 2 of their shows now just wiping Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, you'd be like, no, we'll take Netflix. We'll at least take the actors from there. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No.
Daredevil. Well, that's a good show.
Yeah, so we'll bring back Kingpin and not you, Iron Fist. You walk away. You leave.
Piss off.
Yeah. And then obviously you get introduced to Echo, which I'm like, ooh, that's fun. Another character.
And because just a brief at the end thing.
Yeah, and then obviously in the third one it's a lot about her, and I thought, is it her brother? The dude? So I thought for ages they were siblings, but then I just think they're friends.
And then at the end there was sort of a sort of thing,
I think they're just friends, colleagues.
I think they're just really good friends.
Yeah, which is okay. I wish someone stated
I'm
that.
going off from memory a bit here. But I think he was in it before her, and he was her father's right-hand man.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because he was meant to be at the meeting where he died. Yeah. Okay, yeah, me understand now.
I gotta say it now. The person who plays Echo, considering it's her first ever acting gig, she does a pretty good job.
Yeah, when she does an angry face, I'm like, ooh, that's spooky. I wish I seen more of her be anything but angry. Do you get what I mean? Because we seen Hawkeye be happy, sad, emotion, full, angry, depressed, But with Echo, it was just sort of, they're angry or they're angrier. The only person I'll allow to be angry or angrier is Vincent D'Onofrio himself. And I'm
twitchy lip the whole time.
oh, bro, we're just gonna jump straight to him because I want to talk about him now. He was
He's
great
in episode 6. We're only on episode 3.
Oh god, but all the echoes, great. That's the episode title. She was great though, and I was waiting for her to put on a mask and have the handprint on it. But then I realized I was like, didn't we just do that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Didn't we just? Wow,
Yeah.
that's so
If we
weird.
wait for her show.
Yeah,
There would have been enough time to pass.
yeah. I was so waiting for like her to get scarred with a handprint or something, you know, like on her face, like her character does, because that just adds some interest. And obviously Hawkeye's death, which just makes sense. And I had heard people being like, well, "Why is he deaf for? Like, shut up."
Yeah, he's just a normal guy, and he's like, I like how it explains it like he's always next to all these explosions.
Yes, which is totally fair. He's
Why
gonna get
Black
fucked
Widow
up.
not deaf? Because the one that really messed up his ears, she was already dead by then.
Exactly. An explosion happened on top of his head. You can give him a break. But and then she's deaf as well, so there was fun moments where she's like, "You're weak for just using whatever this is." And then obviously the
I
moment
did like
where
the fight in episode 3.
yeah, it was a
deaf.
good fight, and I'm glad it was there because we needed a proper fight. Because then the next one we had was the Yelena, like Hawkeye times 2. Minus Echo minus Yelena equals that one fight scene. There you go.
That good fight scene. I like that fight
Exactly. We're not talking about that episode. We're talking about episode 3.
scene. We're talking about episode 3. Good
That-
long car chase, but he's deaf the whole time.
Yeah, which is fun. That's actually good comedy in the show. I would say this is probably the show with the best comedy. WandaVision, not funny, because the only hilarious moments came from like Agnes, but I just want to punch her in the face, so it's okay. Loki, I didn't find the banter between Loki and Loki very fun.
I didn't find any of that show fun.
No. Go back and watch that review.
If you can, that was entertaining.
Yeah,
so
Kang, I will watch that episode. I need to watch that episode again. It was a great episode. Falcon and Winter Soldier, it came from their two relationship. And that was pretty much the only
it was
comedy.
only when they were on screen together.
But this has physical comedy, the relationship comedy.
Yeah.
Some of
like,
the
good thing they call you Hawkeye, not Hawk ear.
yeah, and sometimes I'm like, okay,
That's a bit.
which is funny because 100% Kate would make that joke if she was real.
Yeah.
You know, it is so within her character, but I'm just like, okay,
She did disrespect him a bit at the start when she did message him. Oh, I know you're not busy. You have no friends.
and it's just like it's true, it's true.
That's because his friends are all dead.
Well, he's got a wife and kids. It's good enough. Don't need friends when you got that. But yeah, I'm glad, and obviously all the trick arrows and stuff fun, and also set up the stuff later for when we get similar shenanigans. You know,
Was this the episode where his son called him as well when he didn't have to leave?
I'm pretty sure, and that was incredibly
That
sad.
was a nice moment.
And that was because if people who are watching don't know, I don't care about any character within this universe at all. I don't care about anyone. Literally, WandaVision had to make me care for Wanda. Loki didn't make me care for anything except Kang. Falcon and Winter Soldier made me care for those two characters. And this is the moment where I cared for Hawkeye. I was like, that's hella sad. I will give you this one. I will give you my respect. Because clearly you need it. So I was like, bravo. And then, just next episode. Partners, Am I Right? What a funny title. This was pretty much just them working off of each other for a while. And I really appreciated it.
This is one of this is the episode where parents find out that she's working with him.
Yes. And it was obviously like a panic mode for her mum. It's like, I just said to dude, think about it now, it's like she was in the room with the person she tried to assassinate. So it was just sort of like, He's just like, uh-oh.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I only just did. I'm like, oh, I just tried to murder you, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
again, rude to him with the Black Widow thing.
Yeah. People just like
Keep
dunking.
rubbing that in his face, like, oh my god, Natasha Romanoff died, shouldn't get into this life. It's like, Jesus Christ.
This poor guy can't
Nobody
catch a
talk
break.
about Iron Man or something. Like, give him a break.
Excuse me, I'm fed up of talking about Iron Man's now. Can someone mention Captain America
Still got
for once?
mentioned.
I'm talking about Cap.
He
He's an old man somewhere. He's an old man somewhere. Oh, we can talk about that musical at the end of this
Captain
episode.
America got a memorial in the Statue of Liberty. Okay.
That's true. He's got a memorial with inside a museum, a memorial on Statue of Liberty, and he also got a Broadway show about him. That should become in set dressing. It's like Iron Man gets, he's always front center in like the Spider-Man films and this, that, and the other. Then Black Widow is only in Hawkeye, and then Cap's death in air quotes only appears through the setting of other shit. You know, bitch.
Well, technically he is a war hero, but he's also a war criminal, so I don't really.
He's also a hero, but then he also once said "Hail Hydra," and it was great. So
he did spend 2 years kind of breaking the law and on the run. And
that's true. You know, we never sort of mentioned that, but it's okay. Thunderbolt Ross will come out of nowhere and scream about it or something.
Yeah, and then he came out, and then he lost a fight.
Yeah,
everybody died, and then he all was forgiven.
Yes, we will forgive you now because you're hella old.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Hawkeye, shall we?
Yeah, okay. This is the good one because Yelena comes in it.
Yes, and obviously, and it was a fun twist, being like, you're in a deaf person's room, and then it was just like, oh, immediately get your shit rocked, and then
and then they're both fighting somebody.
Yeah, and then obviously
Maya.
It was so obviously Yelena, because she literally has the stingers on her. But okay. But yes, that was a fun fight. And then it was weird though, because she doesn't speak throughout most of that fight. Or at all. You know?
No, she doesn't say a word.
Exactly. But then when she comes back and meets Kate, which is in the next episode, she's incredibly funny the entire time. So let's go on to the next episode, shall we? Weirdly,
well, you're not going to talk about the best moment at the end of this episode?
Well, if I could remember the end of this episode, I would.
Where Hawkeye just practically tells Kate Bishop to piss off.
Yeah, and I'm like, obviously you have to have that, because you have to have that in everything ever with two people. So I'm also like...
But I get it in this one.
Yeah, and also this
is... It did get very serious very quickly.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've been like, you know what, Jeremy Renner, you can act. Because the only other thing I've ever seen you in is that Tag movie. Which...
Yeah, both your arms.
And oh my god, it's Jason Bourne. Think he played Jason Bourne? He played someone. But yeah.
Impossible.
Is he?
Yeah, he can act.
Yeah, he can actually act. Congrats.
Last time I saw that, his family died.
Congrats to Jeremy Renner. Next episode. The only part of this show where I'm like 100% this is not needed is Yelena breaking into that thing and then her getting snapped and brung back. I'm like, you don't need that at all.
I kind of liked that intro.
If it was literally...
One, it was a great way of showing how fast it happened.
Yeah, and it also works as well because it connects to Black Widow, the film. But also, it could have just been a sentence. You know, I didn't need it. Thinking about how it connects to Black Widow, I'm like, sure, this is like great world building and everything.
To answer the question, why were they in Infinity War?
Yeah, it's like they're dust. Give them a break. But yeah,
she comes out like, I need to speak to Natasha, and I'm like,
oh no.
Whoops.
She died about an hour ago. I'm sorry. You can go see a corpse probably if you go ask that red skull.
Oh no, that's
person.
probably gone too.
Oh yeah, that just fades to dust. But yeah, and then obviously Kate goes back to her house with dog, with the cute dog, which is a great dog, and then Yelena's just they eat mac and cheese. Cause fun.
She throws a bottle at her and she catches it. And says hi.
Yeah, 100%. Yelena, my favorite character from phase whatever the fuck we're in.
She stole the show again from the main character.
But I'm glad we have some, because Iron Man was that in anything he appeared in, wasn't it? Like Robert. Yeah. Oh my god, Robert. But now it's Florence Pugh, and Florence Pugh, she can cook up a storm because she's so funny and her timing is so well done. And this is what I mean about good humor in this show. Congrats to this show for being good. Because let's just put it out there. We both like this show. It's not the best. It's not the worst.
It's my favorite Disney Plus show.
I don't care about these shows enough to even give them a rating. Do you know what my favorite Disney Plus show is? Moon Knight. Because I don't need to watch it yet.
It's not out yet.
I don't need to. I don't need to watch it.
So far, this is the best one.
Sure, I'll give it to you.
To be honest, the competition isn't that good.
I think... Yeah. Because Loki and Wanda I'll probably never watch again. Other than the last episode of Loki.
Yeah.
And then what if I may watch singular episodes and the end episode again? I feel like... That's the thing. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier deserves another rewatch. Because it was decent. And that's one of the ones I've probably most enjoyed. You know?
It's because I feel like the reason I like this better than Falcon and Winter Soldier, although the stakes are a lot lower, I feel like a lot more time scale they have to get this done.
Yeah, I guess.
The reason why they're rushing to get it done.
Which is interesting, though, because my personal favourite, because I obviously like street level a lot more than Avengers level cosmic bullshit. But those two are my favourite, and they're both the closest to street level. Like, this is actually street level, which I'm incredibly impressed at that they didn't...
It's just Hawkeye wants to get home.
Yeah, I'm so that they didn't end up, like, resurrecting an Eternal, or doing some other bollocks, you know? The closest we got was, oh my god, Kingpin's back.
Celestial with his hand coming out.
Exactly, and that's where Kingpin's base is now, because he just lives on that hand, because he can. But, you know, I'm so surprised that they didn't do that sort of bullshit. So I'm glad, so that's given me hope for more street level stuff in the future.
Yeah, like Moon Knight.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. But yeah, back to this show. Ronan.
Yeah.
Great conversation, and I can't even remember what else happens, but they obviously make back up Hawkeye and that. And that's okay. That's okay. That's great. Can we get onto the last episode now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing important in this
Boy
episode.
Vincent D'Onofrio comes in.
When I was a boy. He didn't say it, and I wasn't happy about it.
I know you probably haven't seen this yet.
Yeah.
After episode 5 came out and his name was in the credits,
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio posted a picture on his Twitter or something with that thing with his the Hawkeye logo.
Yeah.
And all it said above it was, "When I was a boy."
Oh, it's so good. I need to hear him say it again. But let's not talk about that yet. The setup for this episode's pretty good. Actually, is it though? Because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know why they would... It was to stop the mum, weren't it? It was to stop... Was it to stop the mum?
Because Yelena just found out that the person who hired her to kill...
Yeah, was the mum. So they're gonna... Yeah. And it just...
It was the mum and she was working with Kingpin.
Yeah, and then she also turned her back on Kingpin in the same time, which, great scene. So now...
I think the main reason they were there was because Kate just found out her mum was involved in everything.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye knows...
Yeah.
If she's involved with Kingpin.
Which is
the time's probably short.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it's quite a well done setup, because it's like, why is Hawkeye and Kate here? To stop the mum. Or take the mum down. Why are the
trying to find her and get her out.
Why are the Tracksuit Mafia here? Because they need to take down the woman because she did this to Kingpin, and of course Hawkeye and that are going to get in the way. Why is Yelena here? Because Hawkeye's here. And then I really like that Maya at some point just goes, I think I'm done. My character arc is sort of...
She does come. She is there at the end.
Yeah, but
she's there because the guy who's in lead of the Tracksuit Mafia is there.
Yeah, and I love how it's probably the first time where a villain has got an actual character arc. That's not just, they were bad and now they're good. Hers was like, wait a minute, it's sort of... I kind of need to let go of my revenge, as well as also realise that the people around me are just a little bit manipulative, a little bit of douchebags, you know? And then she does, and then she's like, I think I'm just going to leave. And then immediately Kingpin tries to kill her, and I'm like, oh. And then she's like, I'm going to just shoot you in the head. How about that? How is that simple?
She just bumps into him, he just turns the corner and she's there.
Which I really like, because it's just like, she was 100% stalking him from, like, the shadows. Because he's not... He's the most easiest man to see in New York. He's wearing a white suit,
Like,
a red Hawaiian shirt.
stupid hat on.
Yeah, and he weighs about the same as a truck. You know, so you can kind of see him. But that thing going through the building was fun. Because that reminds me very much of Moon Knight, of where it's like level by level you're fighting through a building. And you've got to like get this person, that person, the other. And then obviously Yelena's got to come and thoroughly enjoy it. But I love how she meets up with Kate first.
Yeah.
And then they have a scrap, which I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then just the thing...
when she smacks her in the lift.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah, it's just like... just the face they do. And 100%, as soon as Kate's went in that elevator, I was like, I bet she's going to press all the buttons. And then she knocks the hand away and she's like... But I love how every time Yelena knocks her hand away, they'll just stand for another 5 minutes just talking. Then she'll try again. It's like, oh, it's like, fuck.
She just accidentally do a six spin, which was a costume on.
Yeah. It was like, did you mean to do that? She's like... and then she presses all the buttons. Which I'm like, oh... And it's so good because it's like, this is Hawkeye and this is Black Widow, technically, you know?
This is going to be what they're going to do for that.
And I'm like, this is so good because they're both so good characters. And I'm like, because this makes me actually excited to see those two in the future, you know?
Yeah.
Just doing whatever. Because now that I'm thinking about it, those two being on a Avengers team, because they can't be on an Avengers team now. They're so low level that I'm like, this is just not going to work. Comparatively to...
I could see Kate Bishop being there if Hawkeye goes for his Avengers things and he just calls her up.
But that's the thing, it's like, but now we have Doctor Strange. He can make portals appear. The last most powerful guy we did was strong and could shoot lightning. I have the power of time and space. Back the fuck up, bow woman.
It does seem like they're splitting it, like this whole multiversal crazy stuff, and then this nice low level
Which
stuff.
I'm so glad, because I obviously, like I said, like the street level so much more. So I'm glad it's actually getting looked at now instead of just crazy
I could see
Avengers shit.
Spider-Man now joining that lower level stuff.
And I'd be so glad. I want Spider-Man to get a show, like as well as his movies.
Yes, freshman year.
Yeah, no, not what I said. Did I say animated show? I respect animation and I will definitely watch it, but that's not what I meant.
He's getting an animated show because that's how they can work around Sony.
Yes, which I'm sure I'm okay with that. Which we need to discuss later what we think is going to happen in that. Not in this episode, of course.
No.
But then this episode of Hawkeye was good. It was actual street level stuff with Hawkeye taking on like 17 mafia members, like the tracksuit mafia, all at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, the trick arrows.
Yes.
One guy's leg gets turned to solid ice.
Yes. That's in the ice ring fight. Yeah. And that was a fun fight, but it was like, that was the one problem I had where most of this episode was just a fight when I needed more arguments, conflict, because the only conflict we really had was that one scene where Kate sent her mum to prison. The argument...
Yelena and Clint.
Yeah. And then also the Kingpin just arguing at Kate. But that was so much not of like an argument. That was more just, do you know who the fuck I am? Step down, bitch. I'll just take an arrow.
Kingpin was a tank in this.
Which I'm so glad because that's so Kingpin. I wish they put even more fat on him. And I'm so glad they shot him with really low angles and they panned up his body and stuff. Which I'm like, yes. And then they shot him in the head. Why do you think they did that? 100% if they need him again, he will just come back. But why?
Vincent D'Onofrio has been talking about it in interviews, and the way he's talking about it, he is talking about stuff he wants to do in the future with the character.
But I'm just like, why even shoot him then? Because then you have to, when he next comes back,
this is from the comics.
You have to explain it.
From the comics.
You know what would have been much better? Just ended on those two about to start a fight. You know? And then whenever he comes back again.
That fight.
Exactly. So whenever
it's
he comes back.
It's going to be the Echo show where we find out what happens.
Yeah, 100%.
I've seen enough movies and read enough comics to know if you don't see the gunshot being fired,
exactly,
you're not dead.
Exactly.
For all we know, It wasn't even her who fired a gun.
Exactly. Kingpin pulled out his
She could have got shot in the
bazooka.
back.
That's true. That's true. And I'm actually, I wouldn't say I'm
Stupid thing, shot
excited
her
for the
shoulder.
Echo show, but I'm lucky it exists because that will 100% be street level. It won't be connected to anything else other than this show. You know?
I've heard a lot of it's going to be very much like Daredevil season 4.
Which is okay.
Some of those characters coming back. If you're
okay,
gonna do Kingpin again now, I don't think we mentioned it yet, but is it the same version from Netflix?
There's no point in saying it isn't.
I think it is. Vincent D'Onofrio's said, to him it is.
You know what you could just do? They could just be like, oh yeah, the first 2 seasons. There you go. You can have that. Do you know what I mean?
I'd be fine if they did just Daredevil, the show.
That's the problem, because I want a good Bullseye. Because I've seen clips of that Bullseye, and I'm like, that's not Bullseye. You know, I don't know like what it was throughout the entire episode, but exactly.
But the thing, like, a lot of the Daredevil Kingpin stuff really heightens up in season 3.
Yeah, I guess.
So then you've also got like happened so far in the past anyway.
I want more of them to come through. Like Echo would be a good place to just reintroduce Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Bullseye. You know, like Kingpin while in hospital, like puts a bounty on Echo and stuff, and that's her show. Because I don't know what that show's going to be at all.
Daredevil's got to be in it.
Yeah.
If you know what the problem is there.
What?
She's deaf, he's blind.
Oh, it'd be like the film.
How are they going to interact?
Well, they can interact because he can speak.
She's going to be doing sign language and he can't see it.
Oh, yeah, she's like mute. I forget that she doesn't speak.
Talk.
Yeah.
The actress is actually that.
That's a bit far. Well, he can still see her. He's just going to have to learn sign language. Because he can see it. He's just going to have to click his fingers every time.
Use echolocation.
Yeah. They're only going to be able to do it in the rain.
You're going to have to write something down, but like put it in Braille.
Yeah. But it makes sense because it's like Echo in the comics began as a very Daredevil character, which I'm glad that she's in this show because she does connect to Ronan in the comics as well. But then, yeah, like you said, it's kind of like...
I'm just saying, there's got to be a reason Matt Murdock and Kingpin both came back in the same week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they are, because now we don't have to watch an origin, or we don't have to watch them meet each other for the first time.
I want them to make the Daredevil show canon, just so I know that I don't have to watch something Daredevil and see Elektra die again, because I can't be bothered.
I can't not be asked.
I don't want to see that story again.
Yeah. Fed up seeing the fucking Elektra's face.
Every time Daredevil shows up, Elektra dies.
100% the newest run of Daredevil is going to be taken on as just the script for the next Daredevil show. Because it's very street level, Kingpin, other heroes are involved, that sort of thing. But we've stopped talking about Hawkeye now, but fuck it.
We are talking about Hawkeye characters.
Yes. What do you want to see from Daredevil next? Do you want to see a movie? A show? Like, what do you want?
I think he'd work better as a show.
That's the thing, I'm like, I don't really feel like we need another show. I'd be happy.
If they're going to do the show, I think it should just be a continuation.
Either that, or I'm thinking, he just appears in a bunch of shit, like he's in Echo. If you do anything street level, Daredevil's got to turn up for at least 5 minutes, you know? And then, I so badly want a Heroes for Hire show. Because that just makes so much sense.
They sort of done that very briefly in Netflix on Luke Cage. With Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Exactly.
Be in it.
But it will be perfect. Because Luke Cage ain't going to get a show. Like, there would be no reason to. Iron Fist ain't going to get a show.
Nobody watched the show they did.
Exactly. Jessica Jones, definitely not. Heroes for Hire is perfect. Have Luke Cage and Jessica Jones have a baby so that actress doesn't have to come back every 75 minutes. And Make it be, instead of Iron Fist and Luke Cage, it's Daredevil and Luke Cage. So then you can set up Iron Fist in Shang-Chi too. Because it makes too much sense not to.
But would you want it to be the same guy for Netflix?
Fuck no. Make it be a good thing, you know? But then you could...
but like, I've seen like the stuff after his first season and the Defenders, and he gets a bit better.
That's not good enough. You got to start.
I've seen him in that one episode of Luke Cage season 2. Yeah. He was alright.
No, I want a new actor, so it's not connected to that show whatsoever. So you can do like Shang-Chi meets him in, is it Tai Lung? Is that where he comes from? In the comic?
That's a Kung Fu Panda villain.
I think it's something very similar to that. Tai Lo something. He comes from an ancient hidden city, very similar to the one in Shang-Chi. Exactly. So I'm saying Shang-Chi, Legend of the Iron Fist. There you go. There's your title. Introduce him in there, and then it leaves them off with Iron Fist going to America with Shang-Chi. And then the end credit scene is Iron Fist like walking down, like beating up someone in his like proper suit. And then someone walks in, he goes to punch them, and his hand stops against the guy. And then it zooms up, and then it's the actor who played Luke Cage, and then it ends, you know? And then he gets introduced into Heroes for Hire.
Everybody just brought back the guy who played Iron Fist. It's just...
Yeah, because...
You know what, screw it. Bring back the side characters from the Iron Fist show as well if you want.
Just sure. Iron Fist. Yeah. Whatever.
Every single person from Netflix, bring them back apart from Iron Fist.
Yeah. So, in our Hawkeye show, we're also discussing Daredevil, apparently. Which, that's definitely going to be in the title.
Now, if Daredevil becomes Thing, that means we've got a Punisher in the MCU as well.
Nope. Disney is never going to do Punisher. Never, ever, ever. Ever, ever, ever. He's going to turn up to be a hero in a Daredevil thing, and that will be it. He will use guns.
They're never going to get to it, like, in that first episode where he beats up a guy with a hammer.
Not at all. Like, do you know the gym scene where he's fighting people with, like, dumbbells and the bar off weights and stuff? You ain't going to get that. You ain't going to get shit.
Oh, that's why I miss Netflix.
Exactly. That guy you tried to sell him, like, paedophile videos or paedophile films, you ain't going to get that again. You ain't going to get that.
Yeah, but the actor's so good in the role.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. 100% he will come back, but he will be in a more comic-accurate suit, use one gun, and only be a hero. But then sometime...
And you won't ever see any of his bullets connect.
Exactly. It'll just be like when Black Widow shoots anyone. You know?
I really want them, because like, they're clearly doing R rating now, because I know I said R rating and we're in Britain, not America.
Yeah.
But they're doing Deadpool 3 and they're doing that as that.
That's the thing. I think that's because that made so much money. But 100% Punisher is not getting...
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
Use Fox... Use that label to get a bit of a higher rating.
I guess, yeah.
Boom, you put Punisher into it.
Yeah, you could. Of course you'd want to. But then it doesn't... I don't know. I don't feel like Disney has the balls.
Disney pushed boundaries a bit.
Do it. I think that's what Deadpool 3 is.
I wanted to see you cut back to this guy whose leg got turned to ice and see it just missing.
Yeah, and just him bleeding out on the ice. Let's get back to Hawkeye, shall we? Let's get back to Hawkeye. That end scene, great. Those people being lifted away by an owl, slightly rude. We didn't even talk about him getting caught in a tree for no reason. Which I'm like, the episode kind of stopped for a second, and I was like, what? What is going on?
Well, that was so that Yelena could finish for a bit.
Yeah.
She couldn't get to him.
Yeah.
And then Kate had to come down and like break her knees on landing.
Yeah. That was so funny when Kate knocked the thing out of her hand, and then she's just both like, ow! Ow!
Stop making me like you.
Yeah, which is such a good line, because that's exactly what it is. And then the only problem I had was their Hawkeye and the Thing, and Yelena's thing of being like, I hate you, you killed Thing, and then, because I've seen it so many times where it's a misunderstanding plus this plus fighting.
Yeah, I want to know, like, why couldn't he just happened instead of just... No, she died and the universe could live. She died so you could live. All this.
Literally,
just tell her.
In the moment, I wanted Hawkeye to get a backbone for a second, stand up to her and go, no! we were best, like, break down fully and be like, we were best friends. This happened to us. She never stopped talking about you. How, like, it even sickens me.
It was a nice moment when she stopped trying to kill him.
Yes, and it was very nice for a good second, but I did want them to become friends at the end of that.
Honestly, I was expecting a hug.
Yeah.
I didn't get it, and I ain't happy.
And I get why, because it's like, oh, it's just him finding another Black Widow. But I'm like, no, because it's like this
but
whole...
it'd be nice, like, it's a comforting moment for the both of them, because they're
like,
both sad.
Yeah, and it's like this whole thing where they comfort each other as a shoulder to cry on such a situation. And then you get like a sort of mini, like, street level team, where it's like Hawkeye, and Black Widow. There you go.
Yeah, two Hawkeyes and the Widow.
Yeah.
See the other Widow? Dead.
Do you think we're going to get a Black Widow 2 starring Yelena?
I don't know if I want one, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, because like,
Cause,
she's worked really good in the two things she's been in,
Yeah.
but she's never been the main character.
Because, was that a video we made, or did we just pitch it to each other?
I think we mentioned it while
Yeah.
we were reviewing Black Widow.
Yeah, because we wanted, well, at least I wanted Yelena to then get the Russian team with, like, Red Guardian and everything, and then that be a film versus whoever, like a super team.
Like,
Because
the main problem the Black Widow film had is that she couldn't carry her own film.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't
I think this is why Hawkeye's worked, because Hawkeye on his own wouldn't have been able to carry his own show.
No. That's
because
the thing,
they did Hawkeye and Kate and done a duo.
Yeah.
Then obviously added Yelena and the end.
Yelena would have to have a team or partners or something.
She has to have someone to play off.
This is what I'm saying now. Black Widow and Hawkeye. A show. That's what season 2 of Hawkeye is. It's literally Yelena and Kate just doing whatever street level shenanigans, with Hawkeye being more of a background character, like mentor figure, and then in the end fight you got to get like Hawkeye and Mockingbird in their last fight together, you know, like Hawkeye's giving up, he's retiring after this. Boom, boom, boom. Neither of them die.
Retiring.
That's the thing. Neither of them die. No, because they don't deserve that. They have a family. Let them live happily ever after.
So did Iron Man.
Over there. That's the thing. He got a family in the first film. In one film, he got a family and then he died. This family is a character act, you know?
Yeah, but my problem with Hawkeye, retiring Hawkeye, he's trying to retire literally every time. He keeps getting dragged back into
That's the thing. It would be
like his story fully ending, retiring, I don't think would work.
It would be happy. I feel like it would be happy for him to get that moment. Like, we cut back to his house and he sees on the TV a villain in New York fighting, and he's like, oh fuck, I gotta go out, and he grabs his bow, and as he's about to leave, he sees Kate Bishop fight that guy instead, and then he puts his bow back down and sits down and then has food with his family or whatever. Like, that's a moment to just be like, there, his character is done. He can of course come back, Jeremy Renner can keep getting that paycheck, but he's not a hero anymore. Or he's a hero, but he's not.
I'd like him in that mental role, but
yeah,
I still think Hawkeye's story should end with him dying.
I don't think dying. I think maybe he should be forced to retire, like he loses a hand or something. You know?
Injured.
Yeah, like he loses a hand and then he's just like, oh well, I'm done.
I just like, because of how many times he's tried to retire, I think it would just be so repetitive if he retired finally.
Well, because they could. I think they should play it off as a joke.
Now he's retired.
I think they should play it off as a joke then, whereas like, and then Kate's like, you can retire now, like you're not involved with this anymore. Like, you covered up the Ronin thing, you got rid of, like, Kingpin's not on your back anymore, and then he's like, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit, that sort of thing. That's why I'm saying, in whatever happens with the sequel to Hawkeye or Black Widow, whatever he's in next, him and his wife have a last moment of fighting together, because that would be so fun to have Mockingbird back, as well as getting a last fight between them, and then it's sort of the last stand thing, where it's like, this is the last time we're doing it ever, so we're going to go out with a bang. and they take down, like, I don't know, some street level supervillain team. You know, and it can just be fun. I want fun for Hawkeye. I don't want misery and death.
I still think he should die, but
I'm fed up of characters dying.
Everything he's in, he's retired. I don't want to see him retire again.
I want him to.
I thought he was dying in this.
I want him to retire fully. Stop coming back. Stop coming back to this shit. Just leave.
You're two very different responses to this.
Yeah.
You're like, I really want him to be happy. I'm just die.
Yeah. That's the thing, because I'm fed up of characters dying and then having characters be mourningful. You know? Because then you know we've got to get a scene where Kate mourns him, where his wife mourns him, where Yelena says a few things, where you bring, like, Sam back, or you bring in Wanda to be like, oh, he's like, he helped me a lot, you know?
Yeah.
That's
the
why
Avengers films are going to be now. Somebody's going to die in every Avengers film.
That's why I'm like, I don't want it anymore. Like, I don't need more death.
Characters have to die eventually, or
just retire them.
You can't have every character just retire.
Well,
Somebody's got to die.
But that's the thing.
If nobody dies, you have no stakes. You have no consequences.
Yes, that's the thing. That's the problem with. Actually, this is the problem of you and Marvel.
You have stakes, yeah. You can have stakes with nobody dying. That's fine.
Yes,
those happened.
I think those are better
stakes.
Stakes
in this were quite high, but it's just.
I think those are better stakes than a character death. Because as soon as
is never the stakes.
Because as soon as the character dies, you don't need to focus on that character ever again. You know? If Hawkeye dies, we're not going to get a film about, like, Hawkeye's death. Or his family getting revenge or something, you know? So there's no consequences from that. But then...
But the consequences of the fight.
No!
Like,
I'm fed up.
I don't think you can carry on this world and not have, with all these characters, not have at least one of them die at some point.
That's the thing. Of course, like, that's the thing. Mix it up a bit. Because all we've ever got is death. Because the only person...
Captain America.
The only other person to retire is Captain America, and he literally had to because his bones were dust. You know?
Yeah.
But then it's like, spice it up a bit. Have one person trapped for 1,000.
At the ending, right now, I can see retirement. Like, that's the only thing I have with Hawkeye is just because he's done it so many times. Literally
But I'm like, there's other ways to end a character's arc than just retirement. It could be, he's happy finally. He doesn't retire, he's just happy. Instead of being the big grumpy pants that he always is, he's happy. And that's kind of what the end of this show was. Doesn't retire him, doesn't stop him from being a hero. He's just happy now. And that's a character arc onto itself.
Yeah, we could not see him again after this and it'd be fine.
Exactly. And it's like, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't even need a retirement. This could be it. It's the same with Bruce Banner and stuff. You don't need him to, like, die in a moment of anger and stuff. You can just...
Bruce Banner, no. I think Bruce Banner's done. He's just going mentor role now for She-Hulk. Or, like, he's mentoring in the Avengers.
Exactly. You don't need Hulk to die. Because Bruce Banner doesn't have that sort of character where it's like, oh, you're not going to care.
Technically, the Hulk is dead. He's just walking around as
a
corpse.
If Bruce Banner dies, you're not going to care. At all. You know? So you can do other stuff where it's like a character is trapped in time and space. They sacrifice themselves, not killing them. They retire. They end their story happily. They retire in a way that they give up. We haven't seen that before. You know? Like, that could be fun. Instead of just... Because I'm fed up of characters dying in the MCU. Because then, you either die in the MCU...
have it often.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You either die in the MCU and 1,000 people mourn you, which I'm fed up of the mourning trope. Or you die and then you come back. So I'm fed up of death in the MCU at all.
We've only had Vision who's died and come back.
Well, it's like Nick Fury, Winter Soldier.
That was just a fake out.
Exactly. But it's still a death where I'm like, okay, you just stop. Loki, 17 billion times.
Loki in the bin.
Exactly.
Okay. Loki shows should have just been TVA.
I'm fed up of mourning, depressed characters in Marvel. Because people are like, oh yeah, this is the happier one. It is. But then it's like, it does the same trope over and over again of this person is sad because they've lost someone. You know? I'm like, oh.
I think they overdid it in this show because they didn't give anything to Black Widow when she died.
Yeah, and I'm okay with this show. But then it's Iron Man, where it's like Iron Man this, Iron Man that. Very sad.
It's been overdone.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's been
oh.
overdone.
So I want
Did a whole
characters-
Spider-Man movie for that.
I want characters just to move on. Or like, Hawkeye doesn't need a show again. Yeah, just move. Yeah, like
I
Thor,
can see Thor going that way.
just moving on. I can't see Thor dying. I could see him becoming king of Asgard, or just going into space to become like a Captain Marvel style hero, where he just goes from planet to planet or realm to realm helping out.
I mean, right? I'd have been fine without a Thor 4, and he was just like minor role in the Guardians 3, and he's
Exactly.
just like he's just a minor helper there.
I
and he
prefer
chills in
that
Asgard.
than Death. So I want Black Widow and
I can see
Hawkeye to
Thor,
be a show,
like,
and then Old Man Hawkeye to be like,
Old Man Hawkeye.
yeah.
Christ.
that's the thing now,
That run.
just to be a minor supporting character in whatever he's in. Because you don't need him to be the main character ever again. He has a show, he's been in several thousand movies, but you don't need to just
He has a show
horrifically
because of
murder
Jeremy
him.
Renner's contract.
Exactly. But it's like, you don't need to murder everyone. That's the thing. It's like,
He wanted to, but
that's the thing where I'm like, I like the type of character where it's like, no, I'm not going to give up. I ain't a bitch. Because you can have two ways of doing it. You can do it, I'm not going to give up, but through not giving up, I'm going to succeed in happiness. And that's an ending to my character arc. Or you can do the Batman thing.
Hawkeye's sort of done it. He just got dragged back into it.
Exactly.
In Endgame because of the state of the story.
Yeah.
Like he missed an Avengers film.
And it's just like, do that thing where it's like, Hawkeye's happy now. You can leave him. Instead, what I'll see Marvel doing is doing the Batman thing, where it's like, I won't stop doing this, but instead of becoming happy, the only way I will stop is dying. Which I'm like, no.
But that Batman, that is just Batman.
Exactly, but that's how I feel
It's
like...
not every character.
But that's how I feel they would do Hawkeye, like how you're suggesting. Where it's like, I can't stop being a
Great.
hero and I hate it, and oh, now I'm dead, I guess. Oh, I'm finally happy in my moments. I'm fed up of that trope, where it's like, oh, I can
Hawkeye's
be
gonna be
finally
the
happy
character
now.
He's going to be a minor... He could do a season 2 of this and he comes back as a main character.
Yeah, but then I'm like, you have
If
to
they
carry
decide
on.
to do a season 2.
You have to carry on him being happy, because in the end of the show, he is happy. His aggression has been like faded out. He is a happy family now. Allow it. You know?
If they do a season 2, I could see the problem is related to Kate, but he just comes in as a help.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's
He's
just like,
doing it as a friend.
Exactly.
He's not actually emotionally tied to it.
exactly, and I'd be much happier
like,
with
maybe
that.
the next Endgame type thing, it all goes so horribly wrong. They have to call in an old friend.
Yeah, and I'm fine with him. Like, that's why I much prefer, because then this universe gets bigger. Instead of, oh, we just created 3 new characters. Come on, let's kill 3 of them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, like this is a big universe. You walk down New York, oh, you see Hawkeye, you see another Hawkeye, you see Daredevil, you see
Spider-Man swinging
Spider-Man.
out the apartment over there.
Yeah, exactly. I'd
Spider-Man
much
lives
prefer
there.
that. Yeah. Oh, I'd much prefer that than murder, death, sacrifice. Oh, so deep and sad. Because Marvel will never do the thing of, let's actually see what grief does to a person and how it could emotionally destroy them and make them turn their back on their friends. And instead they just do, I am sad. I am sad. Wanda,
Couldn't
it
see
was...
that with Wanda.
Yeah, Wanda destroyed an entire town. But exactly that, like, it's not realistic. They will never do realistic grief. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, don't kill anyone then. Like, you don't
So
have to.
much time passes in between them. Like, this is 2 years after Endgame Hawkeye.
Exactly. But it's like, you don't have to. It's like Marvel. You know, you don't have to kill any of these people. You know that, right? Iron Man's dead. That's a good ending to his character arc. Captain America's finally retired and happy. Retired and happy. Like what I've been asking for. Thor,
Actually,
Thor's
he's
just
probably
carrying
dead
on.
now, but...
It's alright.
Well, his wife's dead, so...
Everyone knows he's dead. Everyone he knows is dead. It's only Sam. And Winter Soldier. But I'm like, he didn't even appear in their fucking show. So it was like... Exactly. So, we done talking about Hawkeye now. Sad rant.
Yeah.
talking about
Hawkeye,
thing.
great show. Great show. Loved every minute of it.
It was a good show. It wasn't the best show. I'm probably not going to watch it again. But then it had great character moments specifically, and had fun action that wasn't just people fighting in a corridor or shooting at each other from well, they were shooting each other from across the room, but it was done creatively. It wasn't just Iron Man blast, lightning, shield, bam. It was like, oh, I'm going to use this for this reason, and I'm going to team up with you, and we're going to work off each other for 5 minutes, and then we're going to stop the fight, have a conversation, start the fight up again, stop, fight, oh. Do you know what I mean? It was and I think it was probably the most well-paced show. Because WandaVision was very slow for a long time. Loki was slow in like every other episode. Falcon and Winter
Every other episode they did something.
Yeah. Falcon and Winter Soldier had slow moments with characters. Like the villain like the two villains in that sort of thing. And with Sharon Carter or whatever. But this show, it was kind of like, I think it was well paced. So this is probably my favourite show. Can't put my finger on it quite yet. Still need it.
My
Still
favourite
need long.
Disney Plus show.
That's fair enough. Damn, it beats Mandalorian, Dan.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, so that was our thoughts on it. And obviously we probably tangented on the last episode 1,002 times. But it was a good episode. Fun characters, and it finally brought what I believe is Clint's story to an end. Because now there are no loose ends with his character. He no longer is attached to Black Widow, attached to the Avengers, attached to Ronan at all. You know? The only attachment he has is Kate, who instead of having a Hawkeye or a Clint Barton story with Kate, you can do a Kate story with Clint Barton. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that'll be 100 times better. So that's some of our theories and what we thought about Hawkeye. Tell us what you like, and make sure to follow our socials, because we have 1,002 socials now. Infernum_Comics for us on Instagram, where you can see a lot of our art and a lot of our comic-based progression, which we will be possibly creating in the next couple of weeks. Follow for more. And then, Dan, do you want to shout out the TikTok while we're here? Because I haven't got the link for that available yet.
Infernum Comics on TikTok.
Is that just what it is?
We'll do something there eventually.
Yeah. In the next couple of weeks, we will be posting to all of our social medias regularly, and even a possible website. So subscribe to stay tuned for that, and thank you for listening.